Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Okoyemi Gadges and I'm so glad to have you back today. If you're new here, welcome. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for sticking to this channel. I love you, I appreciate you, and I celebrate you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to like and also share my videos. So today, as you can see from the title of this video, I'll be talking about tips on how to ace your nursing job interview, the things you need to do to prepare adequately for the interview, and just basic stuff to actually. So first of all, you want to conduct a research about the hospital you're applying to. You really don't want to get to the interview venue and then look ignorant about the hospital or the organization, as the case may be. So ensure you read about the hospital, do a research about the hospital. You need to know the number of beds in the hospital, the number of staff, just have like an idea, an overview of what the hospital looks like, the number of staff, number of beds, just like the summary of everything you think you'll be asked about the hospital. You also need to know about the specialties they have in the hospital. You also want to read about the exceptional attributes of the hospital. If they have a renowned surgeon, a renowned specialty, a renowned facility, something very peculiar and spectacular about the hospital, you need to get all those highlights. So research about the highlights of the hospital, and then just note all those peculiarities the hospital probably as. So once you've done all that, ensure you make a note of that, and then you can actually just read about that, about all the stuff that you've actually read about. You just make a summary of everything, have it written down in your jotter, and then you can actually read about it later. So that's the first thing you need to do to prepare well for your nursing interview. The second thing I believe you should also do is to prepare yourself, in the sense that you already know the job you're applying for, you know the position you're applying for. You should have an idea of the job description. It should be stated in the advertisement. So you should actually read about the position you've applied for. You should have a detailed understanding of the job. So read about it so that you're thoroughly prepared for whatever questions you'll be asked about that position or the job you're applying for. So that's the second thing that you should actually ensure you do before you go for the interview. The third thing you should do is to prepare your questions. So at the end of every interview, you'll be given the opportunity to ask questions. So you should actually prepare your questions before you get to the venue of the interview. Have them written down in a piece of paper or in a jotter or a journal. Just have it written down. You could have like 3 to 5 questions written down. That way the interviewer also understands that you came prepared. You've actually adequately prepared for the interview, and you're really ready for the job. So that's a third thing you actually need to do. So the fourth thing you need to do is also prepare your documents, especially if it's to be a face-to-face interview. Of course, if it's to be a Skype interview, you really don't need to do that. But if it's going to be a face-to-face interview, you need to prepare the hard copies of your credentials. Of course, you would have sent them the soft copies while you were applying for the job, but it's also good you go with the hard copies, because they could just want to take a look at the hard copies of your credentials. So just prepare your documents ahead, and then just have the hard copies. You could also go with extra copies of your credentials. The fifth thing you need to do on the day of your interview is to dress appropriately, regardless of where the interview would hold. If it's going to be online or face to face, it really doesn't matter. You really just need to ensure that you look good, you dress appropriately. This is not the time for you to show your cleavage. It's not the time for you to just dress inappropriately, I beg your pardon. So ensure you're properly dressed. Ensure you're formally dressed or semi-formally dressed. A business casual outfit would also be very good for an interview. Just ensure that you're dressed for the occasion. Really, you're moderate. You're not like over the top in your dressing. Ensure your makeup is so much on point. You really don't want to look so loud, so just ensure you look so moderate, but you look beautiful and presentable. If you're a guy, ensure you have a good haircut. You don't look so grumpy and untidy. So that actually would help it will go a long way, and it will help you during the interview, because if you know you look good, there's this way looking good kind of elevates your self-esteem, kind of boosts your self-esteem really. So ensure you look good. That would actually kind of enhance your self-esteem on the day of your interview. Another thing you need to do, which is the sixth point, is to ensure you take something light. Ensure you eat before leaving home. Even if it's going to be an online interview like a Skype interview, ensure you put something in your tummy, no matter how small it is. Ensure you eat. You don't want to run out of glucose during the interview. If you become so short of glucose, you can become nervous. You might be unable to articulate your thoughts. You might just become so restless. So you don't want that to happen. You want to look as composed as you really want to look serious and composed. So ensure you take something very light. You don't want to become hypoglycemic during the interview. That's really the point of eating. And then you also should not eat so much that you would eventually have a tummy upset. You don't want to have a stomach upset. You don't want to start having diarrhea during the interview. So just ensure you take something light that will give you enough glucose for the whole day or for the interview actually. So another point is when the interview starts, or before the interview starts, before the interview starts, ensure you get to the venue early. Well, I really don't need to mention this. You don't want to go to your interview late. You should go there early. Even if it's going to be a Skype interview, ensure you're online 30 minutes before the interview would commence, or 15 minutes before the interview would commence. You're all set and ready to go. And if it's a face-to-face interview as well, ensure that you get there 30 minutes before the interview. You really don't want to get there so early as well. You don't want to look so desperate. So 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes before the interview would just be the best time to arrive at the venue. So, and then when you now get to the venue and the interview is about to start, you ensure that you smile. You look so confident. You don't want to look timid. You really don't want to look shy. Ensure you're so confident. You look confident. You're smiling. Make eye contact with the interviewer. Usually there will be more than one interviewer, so you could have a panel. Usually a panel of two people. It could actually be more than two people. You could have more than two people, but usually you have just one interviewer. Ensure you make eye contact with them. Ensure you smile. You also need to look and sound confident. You don't want to be shy. So you also need to engage them. So when they ask you questions, you shouldn't give them closed-ended answers. Ensure you elaborate on your answers. That way you're able to engage them in the conversation, and then you also look convincing. You really need to look convincing. You need to sound convincing. You need to sound engaging. So ensure you engage your interviewers whenever they ask you questions. Look them in the eye. Maintain eye contact. Don't look down or look timid. No, really, that is probably a sign of timidity. If you keep looking down during the interview, it's a sign that you're shy or you're not confident enough for the job, which is quite negative really. It won't be a positive thing for you if you keep looking down or you keep looking away from the interviewer. You don't want that to happen. So just ensure you're confident, ensure you're so bold, and just pass across your information to them boldly and confidently. Really, that's all you need. So the eighth thing you need to do is you need to negotiate your pay. For me, I would want this to be at the end of the interview, but if probably during the interview you're being asked about how much you want to earn, it's obvious that you know your worth already. You know what you're worth based on your years of experience, your level of education and qualification as a nurse. So you should know your worth. You should have made the research before the interview, just to know the range of the salary you're worth. So ensure that you don't go overboard when you're asked how much you want to earn, and also don't underrate yourself. So just ensure that you negotiate properly based on your worth and your value, and of course based on your level of education and your level of experience, your years of experience really. Also ensure during your interview you don't talk negatively about your past employer. This is a no. You shouldn't speak badly of your past employer or your previous colleagues or your previous place of employment. No, even if you're asked why you left, you could say positive things about your past employer. ensure you don't talk negatively about them, because if you talk negatively about your past employer, your future employer would actually think this is what you would do if you leave their hospital for another hospital. So want to talk about your strengths and your weaknesses. This is like something they usually ask. I'm yet to find out of any interview where you won't be asked about your strengths and your weaknesses. So ensure that when you're mentioning your weaknesses, you don't talk about like really, really weak things. I know you're meant to talk about your bad sides or your flaws, but ensure you really don't talk about your flaws. Talk about your good flaws, if there's anything like that. So what I talk about when I'm asked about my weaknesses during any interview, I talk about my OCD nature. So I have like an obsessive compulsive disorder whenever I'm at work, and it's basically because I'm a perioperative nurse, I'm a theatre nurse, and I don't know, once I'm at work, my surgical conscience comes into play. I'm always sterility conscious. So most times I'm paranoid. I just feel someone has just contaminated my tray, or someone has just touched something. So like I'm very, very paranoid about that. It's a good thing because that way infection rate is, very, very minimal. But it could also be like a weakness because sometimes I don't trust people with maintaining a sterile field. I always look out for other people, thinking, oh, I think that person is going to contaminate his or a sterile field. So usually that's what I mention, what I get to mention when I'm asked about my weakness. I usually tell them I'm a perfectionist at work. I want everything to go on perfect. And it can actually be overbearing for my colleagues, but that is my weakness. So when you're mentioning your weakness or your weaknesses, mention the ones that are actually good, not the flaws that are really, really like bad flaws. You get, well, flaws are meant to be bad, really, but just ensure that you're mentioning flaws that are not so bad. You would also be asked how you're able to manage pressure or stress. Now, don't this is not the time for you to try and sound like, oh, you can never be stressed or you can never be under pressure. No, you'll be under pressure, you'll be stressed. You should also mention that you would ask for help. I've noticed that employers are always looking out for that. They always want you to say that, or if you feel you're like so much stressed or you're under pressure and you don't know what to do, you just ask for help. So always say that you would ask for help, or you would tell your line manager, or you would tell your supervisor, or you would delegate. Those are the things they want to hear when they ask you how you would manage stress or how you would manage pressure. You want to tell them you would delegate. You want to tell them that you would prioritize all your tasks. You want to tell them that you would ask for help if need be, or that you will report to your supervisor or your manager. So at the end of the interview, you'll be told to ask questions, really. So that is when you bring out your jotter or your diary or wherever you made the notes earlier. So this is the time to bring out your notes and then ask them questions. You should always ask them questions. It might just be one or two questions, but make sure you ask them questions. So this is time you ask them about professional development, trainings, courses. Just ask them generally about your career progression in their hospital. Ask them about nurse patient ratio. This is time to ask them about the hospital policy. So you another reason why you need to ask them about the hospital policies, because different hospitals have different policies. There might be general policies for a nurse, but each hospital to would have their own policies. So you want to ask them policies about probably tattoos if you have one. You want to ask them policies about piercings for a nurse. Generally just their policies, what they believe. You want to ask them about ethical issues as well, ethical issues when it comes to your work as a nurse in that particular specialty they are employing you for. You want to ask about leave, your annual leave, maternity leave as the case may be, or even sick leave. You just want to know the protocols of that hospital. So this is the time to ask them those questions. You also want to ask them about the shift you'll be running, if there's a particular shift, or if you'll be doing a peculiar type of work which is like not stated on the job description. So just ensure you ask them as many questions as possible. And lastly, another thing I do, this is not compulsory, you really don't have to do that. Another thing you could also do is to ask the interviewers why they are still in this particular employment. So why do they love their employer? That could actually like give you a good insight as to why that might be a good place for you to work, or otherwise, really. So I want to believe that these few points I've mentioned would really help you in your forthcoming job interview. I would also like to mention that lastly, you should just hope and pray for the best. Really, once you're done with the interview, go home, pray about it, and just hope for the best. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, click on the notification bell so that you'll be the first person to know whenever I put up videos on my channel. Don't forget to share my videos to your loved ones, family, and friends, and don't forget to recommend my channel to everyone around you. Thank you. Bye.